What if it was possible to not only achieve your goal, but to achieve something beyond your imagination? As a kid growing up in Thailand and Australia, I love watching movies so much. And one of my favorite movies is Armageddon. I like it because it's about space, spaceship, and rockets to save our world. And I remember when I was in high school, I took a history class and I learned about Neil Armstrong. He was the first human to step on the moon, and that was so inspiring for me because I used to think that it was impossible for humankind to go to the moon, but the US made it happen. And that's when the goal of living and working in the US sparked in me. I wanted to push myself to the limit, and I believe the US will allow me to do that. But they're my friends and cousins. They told me that it won't happen. They said, you have nothing related to US at all. How are you going to do that? It's impossible. Also, you have to be with your family to take care of them because your dad is already passed away at the time and your mom is physically disabled and your brother is very sick. Are you going to leave them behind to pursue your goal? You're selfish. So as a teenager, those words just got to me and I changed to have the same belief with them. Fast forward 10 years later in 2012, I just had this feeling inside of me that working in the US is what I needed for the next stage of my career. And at that time, I was living in Bangkok, Thailand. So I started to do research on the internet and talk to my friends who used to study in the US before. And I came to the conclusion that the only pathway that I can move to the US is by doing an MBA. And that's when I went to American education fairs to learn about possible university that I could go to. And after that, I shortlisted to 3 top universities and I started contacting them to gather more information. I even started preparing for the English test called GMAT, which is one of the requirements for enrollment. I downloaded like a 756 pages test preparation ebook. I bought 2 hard copies of the GMAT preparation book with full of exercises. And I start doing like the past year exams test. But then a year later on a day that I got up late for my friend's graduation. So I didn't drive that day. And in the afternoon after the ceremony, my friend offered me a ride back home. But then we went to the mall and we got lost. We got lost trying to look for his car. And then we walked past this English tutoring school with a classroom with a big window that I can see inside. And I saw this woman, and now she's my wife, was teaching. And that was the first time I met my wife. We dated it and we got married. And we wanted to move back to her home country. You guess it, the United States. So we decided to move to San Francisco, one of the most expensive cities in the US, which you pay more than $3,000 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment. And we moved there without jobs and only with 4 suitcases. And again, my friends and family, they said I'm crazy. I'm crazy because I'm moving to a country that I have never lived in before. And I don't even have a US education or work experience. And another friend of mine who used to live in San Francisco, he told me that I had absolutely no idea about the US culture and workforce. But this time, I didn't listen to them at all, and I trusted my gut. So we moved to San Francisco in early 2015. And I remember the day when we arrived in San Francisco, in front of the apartment that at the apartment address that we rented, and we didn't realize that the apartment was on top of the 50-step stairs that we had to carry all the suitcases up. And so while I was lugging the 2 suitcases weight more than 100 pounds in the hot sun after this 14 hours flight, this thought just popped into my mind. Did I make the right decision to move here? And then I talked myself out of it quickly because I believe that San Francisco was where I meant to be at the time. And then after 7 months of hard work, I got a perfect job in my field, which is related to water in Asia. And I was so happy. I finally made it. And I was so excited. And I shared this exciting news with my mom. And she said this to me. อันนี้เป็นข่าวที่ดีที่สุดในโลกเลยคุณม่าภูมิใจกับลูกคุณมากนะถ้าป๊ายังอยู่นะม่ากับป๊าคงเต้นกันใหญ่แล้วเต้นกันสุดยอดแล้ว It means this is the best news in the world. I'm so proud of you, son. If Dad was here, he and I would probably dance the world together. But a month later, my mom passed away suddenly because of a stroke. So at that time, I have lost all my family members, my mom, my dad, and my brother, all before I turned 30. But despite all these struggles, in January 2019, I became a US citizen. I achieved more than my goal, and I loved my job at the time, and I became part of the American society. Also, I learned that before my dad died, he had a plan to come and work in the US. And that's when I realized I'm living his dream. I'm doing something that he couldn't do. So be open to possibilities because anything is possible. For someone like me that I used to think that it's impossible to live and work in the US, becoming a US citizen myself was way beyond my imagination.